Yes,
Hey,
we did it.
what's going on?
Thank you for joining us here on the Pitch Presents the Brittany and Patrick Show. We appreciate you. We have a very special guest here today. We're here with Kyle Talbot. Kyle, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
So yeah, you have the YouTube channel. It's at Moving to KC.
It is.
And we'll put all the links to everything in our profile and whatnot. But like we were just talking before we started recording, you are from Kansas City, but you lived in Denver for what, like 10 years?
So I moved to Denver in 2011 and moved back in 2020. So mid-pandemic,
The migration of 2020.
That's right. Yeah.
We were one of the ones that made the move in the middle of the pandemic. And
you grew up in the Olathe area?
Yeah. Johnson County. So I graduated Olathe East, but I kind of bounced around. I lived in Gardner for a while, Lenexa, Overland Park, Merriam.
Gotcha.
We moved a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
So, but Olathe is where I'd spent a lot of my time from like 8th grade on.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to go to movie screening sometime in Olathe, and it's just like I'd never ever go to Olathe otherwise, but it's just because it kind of is just like it's out of the way. It's its own little world. It's, like 25 minutes away.
Yeah. It's
a good 25 minutes away.
Olathe is weird. I feel like that a lot of people think that Olathe was going to do what Overland Park has done, just like keep annexing land and building out, but Overland Park has really taken over, I feel like, southeast Olathe almost. So it's crazy to see just how that city has grown. But yeah, Olathe, it's like you might as well be in Gardner, and what I feel like is that Gardner is kind of taken away from their growth, right? Because it's more affordable in Gardner, and you might as well be there anyway because it's about the same drive. But
I don't go out to Olathe a lot.
Really?
I've been to a couple of estate sales out there, and they are so much realtree that can be bought at estate sales in Olathe, Kansas.
I spent the night in county jail in Gardner, Kansas. That's the only time I've been to Gardner, so I'm not a huge fan.
Not a huge fan.
No.
Son of a gun! I'm so sorry. I've been arrested as well, and it's not fun.
Yeah, it's not the best, but every time I hear Gardner, that's just what I think of, which makes sense.
Not fond memories.
Cold chills.
My memories aren't super fond of Gardner either, although the Gardner pool, I don't know if you guys have seen it recently, but I used to go to the Gardner pool when it was like old school. Yeah. And that was like the fondest memory of Gardner for me.
Oh, sure.
But now it's like this, it's almost like a, water park, and they have a ton of water slides and stuff there.
That's cool.
I've never been to it, but it looks pretty dope when I've driven by. So.
Yeah, I do like a water park.
It's not like you don't have to be like a resident or, okay.
No, yeah.
It's a super splash situation, but in Gardner.
Yeah.
I'll make the pilgrimage.
Yeah.
I love to lay out, and I certainly don't have the money to be a part of like a fitness club or something like that where I can lay out.
My dream is to have a membership at Woodside, but not there yet. So I still got some growth with
to
that.
Yeah, Woodside's so expensive.
So expensive.
How much is it a month again? It's almost like a country club membership.
A family membership, because I have 3 boys, and that's what we would be most interested in, the pool situation. Yeah. I think it's like $275 a month for a family, and I'm like, that seems a little steep.
That is, that's
that
steep.
makes my chest tight.
Like a car payment. Just like
the family that I nanny for are members of the country club of Kansas City, so I get to go every day during the summer to the country club, and it is the first time I went, it was just an unreal experience, because you have to know I grew up in Raytown, Missouri. I worked at Super Splash, so that was like my idea of a pool experience. But just driving through the golf course to get to the pool feels like Dirty Dancing, just that like old money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even by the pool, they have all the old fixtures in the bathrooms from the 40s and 50s. It's just very expensive. And I just go and I get to put chocolate soft serve ice cream cones on their tab.
Oh, nice.
And swim.
Do you ever get to bring guests?
I don't get to bring guests.
Yeah, last year we got super lucky, and our neighbor, my wife watched our neighbor's kids for a couple of days during the week in the summer, and they have a Woodside membership, and we got their nanny pass. So
Nice.
we were like the imposters at Woodside, like, oh, we're not supposed to be here, but we're here. You know, it felt so good.
I'm gonna press this summer and be like, so like, is this since I'm like a part of the family, you know, I know you've said that in text messages and on birthday cards that I'm a part of your family. Does that mean that I get to go to the Country Club of Kansas City whenever I want?
It seems fair to me.
And put soft pretzels on your tab?
Yeah.
And then you don't even have to
soft
bring towels. They have towels for you. I mean, it's just an unreal experience. I've never experienced something like that kind of wealth before. The fact that you don't have to bring a towel and then carry the wet towel home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a different
our first time at Woodside, we brought our towels and not realizing that they had towels available. Yeah, so we're like,
poor losers.
putting them back in our bag.
I would do the same exact thing. Yeah. Just like, obviously I have to bring my own towel.
I was trying to be a good guest.
Okay. But you started your channel like pretty like recently. It was January 31st, you said, right?
Yeah, so that's when we released our first video. So it was, you know, one of those things. I got my real estate license November 30th, and then my original goal was to do 30 posts in 30 days on Instagram.
Yeah.
And so I was doing a lot of house tour stuff and, you know, having fun with that. And, you know, then I was like, okay, what else is out there for content creation, lead generation? And that's when I stumbled across YouTube. So the rest has been, you know, a pretty interesting journey. So
Yeah, you saw kind of like a gap, right? You realized people were making the kind of videos that you were looking for. Exactly.
Well, at first it was that I wasn't super impressed with the quality of videos that was out there for real estate in Kansas City. And to be honest, the content that I put out at the beginning was very similar to some of the other channels here in Kansas City, but I think that's kind of how it goes with content creation. You like find your own niche. Same with real estate, actually. And it was something really interesting to me that I learned. Like, I went to a holiday party for our brokerage right after I got licensed, and I was talking to all these people, and they all had real estate licenses, but they all kind of did something different within real estate, right? Like, you know, they either do property management or leasing or, you know, investing, or they're just a regular agent. And so that's the one thing I really like about, you know, real estate. It kind of gives you an opportunity to create your own, you know, niche and then branding and platform. And so YouTube kind of fit in perfectly with that. But
no, and that makes sense. I follow like a lot of realtors on Instagram, and a lot of stuff they do is like very similar. So it makes sense. This is kind of a way to like stand out from the pack.
Set yourself apart for sure.
Yeah. But there are some other channels that I kind of aspire to be like. So, you know, that are outside of our market. And that's really where I've kind of looked towards to, you know, get ideas for content and
That's smart
and stuff like that. So, yeah.
When you said you've already put out 31 videos, but like you had a couple videos go like viral, didn't you?
We had one video go viral. So it's the coming to KC in 2026 or by 2026. So, you know, I again saw this channel, this guy that I really admire. You know, he has 37,000 followers on YouTube, and like one of the biggest, you know, YouTube channels for real estate. And he does a lot of like his market based type of content, but heavily focused on like new developments and stuff like that. And with all of the cool things that we have coming to Kansas City, the, you know, NFL draft being the most recent one, I was like, man, it'd be cool to do a video like that and release it the week of the draft and see if I can, kind of ride on the coattails of any additional traffic that we would get.
Yes.
And I guess I didn't quite understand just how like good of an idea that was. Like, not trying to sound like I'm egotistical or anything, but it was crazy because Wednesday night, my out the gate, my videos get like, you know, in the first 7 days, they'll get like 200 views or something like that, right? So, you know, we're a newer channel, but, we were right around 200 views on Wednesday. And then I saw, you know, I watched the analytics for all our videos, and I saw the trend line for the watch time and the views just start to go like, you know, vertical.
Yeah.
And so the next morning I woke up and there were like 650 views. And I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
I was like, let's go. And then by that weekend, there were 1,800 views. So by that time, I was just like, I'm YouTube famous. Like, this is great. 1,800 views. And it just kept going. And so it's interesting because, YouTube is such a big learning curve, but once you start to put out content and then pay attention to like the analytics and the keywords and stuff like that, you can see just how powerful it can be. And, a lot of YouTube is also based on like, how long can you keep your audience, right? So they want people on their platform. And so they really promote videos that are watched for longer. And so, I really been focused on trying to do more like screen changes and stuff like that to keep people interested, put some background music and stuff like that. But I just didn't realize, there were a lot of cool things. There are a lot of cool things coming to Kansas City. And that's what that video is about. It started with the NFL draft, but it was a very small portion of it. Then it was like, talking about the Rock Island Bridge project and, the South Loop project and, the Penway Point project and, all these cool things that are happening, in the next 3 years in Kansas City. And then I kind of ended it with like, and we get the World Cup in 2026, right? Like, and so it was a 10-minute video. And now I think I checked earlier today has 26,000 views. So
fuck yeah.
It went
That's incredible for that long of a video.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
I feel like it's incredible for Kansas City video, honestly.
100%.
And so, it's been this cool thing where we went from 150 subscribers to now we have 560 subscribers. So it's kind of, it flooded our channel and now we just have more of an audience. And my goal
is... It just ups the momentum.
And by the end of the year, my goal is to be the biggest YouTube channel for real estate in Kansas City, which I think we
probably already
are on your way.
We're on our way. So we're getting there.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, then, okay, has this changed like the kind of content that you're making then? Like, are you did you say you might produce more stuff for the Kansas City audience in general?
So it started as a relocation channel. So that's why it's moving to KC.
Yeah.
And, I've considered changing the name of the channel. But I really like that name. I think it can be both like relocation and just, people that live within Kansas City. But it's definitely changed how my creative process for videos. Like, it used to be more geared towards relocation only. Like if you're moving to Kansas City, like this is a channel for you, right? We do vlog tours of all these. And I still want to do that, but just in a more cinematic way. So I actually, I had this like pipe dream. The guy I was telling you about, the biggest YouTuber for real estate, he was doing this mastermind group with the Broke Agent Media podcast. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they're like the biggest. They're kind of like the meme content of real estate. Yeah. And they're pretty funny. They have a big podcast, but they were doing this mastermind. And it was like $3,800 for the weekend, but there were only 12 spots. And this one YouTuber that I want to be like was there, right? So I started a GoFundMe and I was like, let's do it, And then I raised $170, So I was like far short of my goal, but I ended up reaching out to another YouTuber that does a lot of content for real estate, and she started her main channel when she was 13, just vlog style videos. Yeah. And she has 1.5 million subscribers now for that channel. And then she got a real estate license in her like 25. Yeah. And, cause like, why not, Right. And then started a real estate channel and grew that to 20,000 subscribers. And now she's just doing like, condo deals in Seattle, but she shoots these really cinematic, like cool videos of the city. And I hit her up and she did a coaching call with me. So she actually like pulled up my channel and gave me some feedback and stuff. So I actually just shot a Crossroads video that we're going to be releasing here in the next couple of weeks. And I try to do it like there's going to be more music changes and voiceover and, some cool things. So it'll be a fun one.
That'll be perfect. And the Crossroads is the perfect. It's the most visually interesting part of Kansas City to me, just because of First Fridays and all of the local businesses. I mean, the fact that now you have the trolley going up and down, it's the hopping spot. It's the most walkable bang for your buck area as well. Whenever people come and visit, comedians from out of town or something like that, whenever they're trying to kill some time, I always try to tell them to hit up the Crossroads because it's fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, no, the Crossroads, it rules. And that's like, there's a lot of cool shows there too. I mean, your show's in the Crossroads, isn't it? Or is that the Bottoms?
It's the West Bottoms, but John, he has a show at Casual Animal.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that'd be really cool then. So, like, but did you also notice that like a lot of people in Kansas City were watching the relocation videos? Because like people say that about Kansas City, that no one loves Kansas City like Kansas City. You know, all the memes of us dressing like tourists in our own town, wearing KC shirts and all that stuff. Like, I mean, that's how I found your channel, was just organically, because I was
that?
I was just looking up Kansas City videos.
Yeah, so like the second video I released, I made fun of that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I lived in Denver for 10 years and it was cool to wear Kansas City stuff in Denver, right?
Sure.
Like I went to almost every Chiefs Broncos game, and I went to the ones where we sucked and it was like Peyton Manning, right? Like I lived through the Peyton Manning era in Kansas City or in Denver and remained a Kansas City fan. But like the first, game I went to, it was the one where the Broncos made the playoffs at 8-8 with Tebow.
Yes.
And it was like the last game of the year, and it was like our second win of the year, and we beat them. But yeah, I think to answer your question, I do get a lot of people that watch my content in Kansas City. There's this one gentleman that comments on almost every one of my videos. Vote Republican. Shout out to Dante if you're listening to this podcast. But it's been pretty cool, like engaging with those people too, because like I respond back like, vote however you want. Let's just be kind to each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like trying to end some of that polarization, because that's the world we live in now.
We're also just like literally not talking about that. We're talking about real estate.
Yeah, it's interesting because like we lived in Denver for all the George Floyd stuff, and so like I was like heavily looking at investing in real estate before all that happened, and then like you start to look at like the affordable housing and gentrification and all those things. So I kind of consider myself like an activist realtor, almost. But yeah, it's the internet. You get all sorts of people commenting on stuff, but Kansas City folks do love Kansas City. And so there's a lot of pride
something
here.
People can agree on.
Yeah. So then do you have any other videos you can tease besides the Crossroads one coming out? Or is there like any grand idea that you have that like you haven't been able to pull off yet?
No, I mean, I really want to just focus on more of the like development and cool stuff that's happening within Kansas City, and, do some more, like I focused heavily on, prior to this video blowing up, I focused heavily on like the suburbs for a little bit. Yeah. So I did a lot of, suburb vlog style tours, and, it was just kind of me out with my camera, doing the thing. But now I have a tripod, so I like go out there and I'm not holding it as much. Yeah, I mean, I want to do like, the Electric Park and the Jay Rieger building.
Oh, yeah.
Like I actually reached out to them to see if we could do like a tour / interview style.
Yeah.
And like we went down to Berkeley Riverfront Park for the art gallery that they put on every Sunday. And just, again, growing up in Johnson County, it's kind of like moving back to Kansas City and exploring it more, seeing it with new eyes, I'm just like, man, I want to do some cool content down here, because it's just such a cool area. And there is a lot of, with the current stadium, the streetcar extension, and all these things that are taking place. It's like, man, it's a really exciting time to be in a part of this in Kansas City. And so I kind of want to be like the spokesperson for Kansas City, and like what is coming to Kansas City, and then also, sell people houses, right? Because, if you want me to keep creating content, I have to make money. I'm not making any money from the YouTube channel. So, but yeah.
No, so if someone is watching or listening right now, and, they are in Kansas City primarily, our folks, if they wanted to buy a house, like, is there like a good neighborhood? Is there like a preferable thing where you think you can get a better deal? What's the Kansas City real estate market like right now?
It's the hardest time to become a realtor ever. No, like in all seriousness, the next video I'm going to shoot tomorrow is on the inventory crisis here in Kansas City.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys, either of you watched my Airbnb video. I did get some like controversial comments from that, but Kansas
That's
City's
kind of like a heated topic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and especially recently, because there have been in the last 45 days a lot of changes around Airbnb, which I think for the better. But if you are an Airbnb host, you probably don't, because it's an increase in taxes and more regulations, right? But I think the city is doing their best to try and combat the fact that this year we're on pace to have the lowest inventory on record for the past 20 years. So
Really?
right now for
People buying houses.
no, of homes for sale.
Okay.
People selling houses.
Okay.
So usually in June, we peak for inventory on the market, like active listings available for people to purchase. And this year, the existing homes have not curled up. They just keep going down. So as of last month, we had 2,711 homes actively listed on the market, existing homes, right? So that doesn't count new construction. But when you compare it to the previous 2 years, which have been historically low inventory, we peaked out around 5,000 to 4,500 active listings for existing homes, and we're at 2,700.
Oh, wow.
In the peak season of the year for listings. So it's just kind of been exacerbated with everybody thought that by this time interest rates were going to come down a little bit, and they have gone up. Even though inflation has come down, that was what everybody was predicting. Inflation numbers are going to start to improve, and then mortgage rates will come down, and it's kind of done the opposite, right? So as of Friday, it was 6.9% for a 30-year fixed, which is, for historical standards, it's pretty high, right?
Yeah.
Especially for millennial generation purchasing homes, right? We're used to 3, 4, 5% interest, and now it's a 7%, and everybody's kind of like, well, I have a 3% mortgage rate. Why would I sell and then buy a new house at a 6.9% interest rate? So that's not the only thing fueling it, but it's a big part.
Sure.
So, yeah. So I would say for neighborhoods, just kind of depends on what you like, man.
Sure.
Like I like Brookside because I love historic homes.
Yeah.
And when I lived in Denver, we lived in a 1960s ranch, and Denver is pretty only because of the mountains. It's actually a really ugly city, especially like architecturally. I think it's boring, So when we moved back to Kansas City, I was like, man, it is a really pretty city with a very rich history and culture, and I love that. I love living in a 100-year-old neighborhood where we live in Brookside with these massive trees, right? And like walkability. Those are things that are important to me.
Yeah.
But some people are don't want to deal with the Kansas City public schools, right? Because that's kind of difficult if you live in the city. So they want to live in Prairie Village or something like that. So it just kind of depends on what your preferences are, I would say.
There's a million different contributing factors. I know that Strawberry Hill's been really popping off.
Yeah.
Pendleton Heights is kind of like this.
I love Pendleton
newer,
Heights. Yeah.
not newer area, obviously. I mean, some of the oldest, biggest houses in Kansas City. Mornings that I have free, sometimes I'll go to Cafe and then just drive through Pendleton Heights and Northeast and look at all the different houses over there. Because like you said, they are old. They have so much character. I think that's what a lot of people look for. I mean, I've never bought a house, but I've rented.
Well, when you're ready to buy a house,
I'll let you know when I get my first Netflix special, and then you'll be the first person I call.
I'll plug you on our channel.
A lot of people in Kansas City, they maybe don't want like kind of a sterile living situation that everybody else has. They want something that's unique, that has a lot of history and character. And that works for them. So I completely see that.
Yeah, they don't want to live in a beige house at 151st and whatever.
The millennial gray that we've been hearing about.
I mean, I grew up, when I was in high school, we lived at basically 151st and String Line. Olathe. So like South Olathe, which I guess it's not South Olathe anymore because they've really developed it a little bit further. But it's just, when it came time for me to like be able to pick where do I want to live and, not kind of just be forced in Denver. When we bought our house there, it was just like, oh my gosh, we found a house for $370,000. Like we got to buy it. Right. And
take it.
Didn't have a whole lot of say over where we lived. And we kind of got lucky here in Kansas City, but again, I totally get the draw to the suburbs. I grew up in the suburbs. I just didn't want that anymore. And, we wanted to be somewhere that was more diverse, and we wanted our kids to have a different experience than we had growing up. And, for me, like I remember in Olathe skateboarding across town to my friend's house in Olathe and it taking 30 minutes. Right. You know what I mean? Just because everything's so spread out. Whereas like now we can, walk to the Constantino's Market and ride our bikes down the trolley trail and, everything's so accessible. It's just a completely different experience to what I was used to growing up. And that was important to me. But
no, and all that stuff in Brookside, like, it's so cool. Like, all the restaurants, really good.
Loose Park alone. I spend half my time at Loose Park, and it's such a nice park for Kansas City. And we also have Swope Park over there, too.
So, speaking of country club, Loose Park was the original Kansas City Country Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then it burned down.
And then that big structure.
Yeah. But, no, I mean, it's funny. If I did it all over again, I think I would move to Waldo. Because I feel like we kind of don't fit in as well in Brookside as we would in Waldo. When there's a certain criteria you think of when you think of Brookside. And, I spent a lot of time in Waldo. I just kind of love the vibe there. It's great.
Loose Park is where we would go drink in high school. I grew up in Johnson County, like Roland Park, Fairway, Mission area.
See, I don't consider that like
Devin or not.
I don't consider that Johnson County.
So we would, that's where we would just take our beer in Loose Park, hang out, case of Natty Light, and just drink it. Usually in the winter too, when it was like really cold.
Yeah, that's what the people who went to private school did. We went to a McDonald's parking lot in Raytown, get fingered in the back seat. It was really fun.
One of my friends had like a spotlight on his car. So like sometimes if there were already, we could see other people drinking there already, other high school kids, we would turn the spotlight on and then we would take their beer because they'd run away.
Foul. So mischievous.
That was a good time.
Fun time.
Yeah, really good times. But okay, Kyle, where can people find you online and social media, your YouTube channel?
Yeah, if you search Kyle Talbot, it'll pull all our stuff up, but it's all branded as Moving to KC. So if you just search that, I do a lot of home tour stuff on the Instagram account, and then I actually just started a channel for YouTube where we're going to do more long form house tours and stuff like that.
Cool.
But this Crossroads video, we were able to include a condo unit in the Western Auto Building. So
very nice.
So
always wondered what that looked like inside.
And this one's like on the Grand side, Boulevard side of the building. So they had a patio that just overlooked Grand Boulevard. So I was just like, imagine sitting here watching Patrick Mahomes hoist the Lombardi Trophy from your very own patio. Right?
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, but. You can find us there. Moving to KC.
Well, then, we'll put all the links to that. So, check that out. Subscribe to Kyle's channel. Subscribe to our channel. Give everything 5 stars. Throw it a like. Do all those things. It helps.
Forehead kiss.
Like, comment, and subscribe. It all helps with the algorithm, right?
Well, Kyle, thank you for being here, buddy. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you guys for watching, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.